Why did you choose to go to the Navy instead of the Army?
Well, first off, my sister was actually married to a naval aviator at the time. I knew a lot about the Navy being in San Diego. I'd been on board ships. You know, you can do tours of ships and things like that. So I had a pretty clear picture of what the Navy was like and a little more knowledge of that. Funny, my younger brother Michael, who's 2 years younger than I, he went into the Navy 2 weeks before I did. Okay, and Michael actually got, when he graduated from boot camp, got stationed in San Diego as went to radioman school in San Diego, and then got stationed for 3 years in Pearl Harbor. Whereas I was sent to Bainbridge, Maryland to go to fire control school, and then I went to a destroyer in Norfolk, and I spent almost 3 years at sea. Not, you know, one continuous period, but broken up.
And then where did you go to boot camp?
San Diego. We covered that.
What was your job in the Navy?
We covered that.
Fire control.
Where did you go during your time in the Navy, and when were you there?
Okay, I went to, I'm thinking it was, and I'm not sure the actual numbers, but I think it was about 17 different countries.
Wow.
Okay, initially when I went down to Norfolk, I got on board the USS Steinecker, which I have a picture of that one. That's basically it looks like this. Okay, so it's what's called a Gearing class Fram 2 destroyer. It's about 230 guys that are on board, 250 guys that are on board. And we went down through the Panama Canal, you know, which would be over here. So we left Norfolk, which is up in just below in Virginia, went through the Panama Canal, Hawaii, and then on our way we went to Midway, the Philippines, Midway, Guam, the Philippines, and then finally off the coast of Vietnam. And we spent about 8 months off the coast of Vietnam doing what's called gunfire support missions. That was my first cruise. We also did a couple of cruises into the Caribbean. Okay, we did one cruise to the North Atlantic up to England and Spain and Norway. And we did a cruise my last cruise was over to the Mediterranean, where we went into the Black Sea and came out.
Wow.
And then I got off the ship in Athens.
Okay. What was it like to serve on a Navy ship at war?
The biggest thing I can recall is not getting a lot of sleep. The ships at that time were undermanned. They didn't have really enough people serving to make it possible to run 3 watches. So you were running 2 watches. So that meant you had 4 hours on, 4 hours off. So you got 4 hours to sleep or do other things, including eat. So you got to figure that that kind of breaking up of your sleeping pattern is exhausting after a while.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. I can remember from it.
What did you do in your free time?
Free time?
Yeah.
Well, we went to various ports. For example, we went to Hong Kong and we went to Singapore. We went back and forth several times to the Philippines, mostly to a city called Olongapo, which was where the primary naval support center was in terms of loading or fixing things. And we also went to Japan and Taiwan. And so you do about 24 days or so, or 20 days on the gun line in Vietnam, and then you'd come off the gun line and you'd go to a port and get a break for the crew. And you can do sightseeing. Went to the bars. Had drinks. It was a lot of fun. I mean, you really didn't have anything other. You had a very high level of disposable income. In other words, your food's taken care of, your uniforms are taken care of, where you sleep, all of those things are taken care of, and so you just the money you get is just for fun. basically. I mean, there's not very little that you had to do with it, at least as a single guy.
Were you ever